Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sonam Arora. Welcome you all to the next video session of cost of capital. In the composite capital structure, we already discussed about the cost of debt and cost of preference capital. So today we are going to discuss about the cost of equity capital and cost of retained earnings. So when we talk about cost of equity, it is the most difficult and controversial concept because there is no contractual obligation. So when we talk about the debenture or preference capital, there is a interest rate, there is a dividend rate. It means there is a fixed obligation which a company has to pay. But when we talk about equity, there is no such as obligation which is contractual. It means there is no rate which a company has to pay. It basically depends upon the expectation of the shareholder. Now, the shareholder having two expectations. The first expectation is to get a dividend and the second is to the increasing market price. Now when we talk about the dividend, the market value of a share depends upon the dividend paid, but the rate of dividend depends upon the degree of financial and business risk. It means a company is earning profit, only then it will pay the dividend. But again, it depends upon the company to company that they are going to pay the dividend or they are going to take a retained earnings. So there is a no particular rate which is there on which the dividend is paid or on which we are able to pay the equity shareholder. So the whole question is that where we get that rate. So what is the cost of a equity in a particular organization? Now look at the concepts. Conceptually, the cost of equity capital is defined as the minimum rate of return. It means the firm must earn on equity financed portion in order to leave unchanged the market price of the share. Because if you are not able to earn this much, the market price of your share are going to be down, but ultimately going to reduce the total value of a company. There are two possible approaches that can be employed to calculate the cost of equity capital. So, it is dividend approach, earning price approach, and one more approach we are going to discuss, that is your capital asset pricing model. So, look at the first approach, that is your dividend approach. The basic assumption is that a market price of a share is the present value of its future dividend stream. It means your D1, that is future dividend, is the market price of a share in the present value of future. It is called as the approach. The cost of equity is that rate which equates the future dividend into current market price. It means the price of a stock is equivalent with the present value of your dividend. The dividend price approach can be further subcategorized into two different things, that is constant dividend and second is constant growth dividend model. So look at the first one, your constant dividend. In this approach, dividend is constant, which means there is no growth or zero growth in the dividend. It means if you are getting dividend 40 rupees next year, so the coming year you are going to get 40, next year 40, and it will be 40 remain the whole life of a company. So there is no growth in your dividend, it is constant. So if it is constant, then how it is different from an interest rate which is we are getting in the irredeemable debenture? So in this particular constant dividend method, we are going to calculate the cost of equity with KE. Now here K stands for cost, E stands for earning. So KE equals to D, D stands for dividend upon PO. So here PO is the market price of equity, or we can say the X dividend, because in the previous slide we see the dividend is equivalent to your price of future. Now look at the dividend rate with the constant growth model. This approach states that the rate of dividend growth remain constant. Now remember it, mark my word here, that this is for the dividend growth. In the previous one, it is your dividend which remain constant, but here it is your dividend growth which remain constant. It means your earnings your dividend and your equity share will grow at the same rate. So the rate of your earning, rate of your dividend and rate of your equity share price are all at the constant or all at the same level. So the formula will be PO, which is your price of a share, is D1 divided by KE minus G. So here the word G stands for growth rate. If we do the cross multiplication of the same formula, we are able to get that KE equals to D1 upon PO plus G. So now look at the one example. The share of a company are selling at 40 rupees per share and it had paid a dividend of rupees 4 per share last year. So remember here it is your last year dividend. The investors market expect a growth rate of 5% per year. So we have to compute the company equity cost. In this particular example, the share price is already given to you, that is rupees 40 per share. Dividend is 4 and your growth rate is 5%. So the basic problem is this, that we are not able to get the D1. So we have to move from D0 to D1. Now when I use the word D0, it means I am talking about the dividend at present. If I use the word D1, it means I am talking about the dividend at the end of first year. It means next year. If I say the word D2, it means 2 years later. And then the same way we are able to calculate the dividend for many future year. Now come back to the example. So D1 here is 4 multiplied by 5%. So it is 4.2. Now put it into the equation. It is 4.2 divided by 40 plus 5% growth rate. So it will be 15.5%. So as per the dividend growth model, the cost of capital is 15.5%. Now look at the second method, that is your earning price approach. Now the problem with the dividend method is that it is not compulsory that every company is going to pay dividend, because it is not a contractual obligation. So the cost of equity share capital would be based upon the expected rate of earning of a company. The argument is that each investor expects a certain amount of earning, whether distributed or not, from the company in whose share it invested. So if the company is not going to pay me the certain portion of their earning, which I called a dividend, then it will go for a retained earning. And a company is showing more profit, then definitely the market price of the company is going up. And that market price will going to benefit me in the stock market. So the ultimate thing is that every shareholder expects something from the company. Now we can say it that our KE, cost of equity, is equals to EPS. Now here EPS is your earning price per share. So EPS divided by P. Now this argument is again not correct. Practically, earning do not remain constant, and the price of equity share is also directly influenced by the growth rate of earning. Hence, the above formula needs to be modified, and thus we do the calculation as KE equals to EPS upon P plus growth, because growth is an ultimate option for a company. Without any growth, a company will not move further. Now look at the most interesting concept, that is your capital asset pricing model. So whenever we talk about the risk and return relationship, we are ultimately discussing about the capital asset pricing model. This is a model that describes the relationship between the expected return and risk of investing in a particular security. It shows that the expected return on a security is equal to the risk-free return plus risk premium. So whenever I use the word risk-free return, I am talking about those return which is totally risk-free or a zero risk. For example, fixed deposit. So whenever you invest in a fixed deposit, that is your risk-free return. But as it is a risk-free return, the return is less and I want to earn more. In that circumstances, the CAPM models give you that a risk-free return plus a risk premium. Now the question is, what is risk premium? So the risk premium is a difference between a market risk minus risk-free return. We can understand it like this. You are going to invest in a mutual fund and you are going to get 10%. Whereas if I invest the same amount in a fixed deposit, I am able to get 4%. So to getting extra 6%, I am taking the risk. My risk premium is a difference between that 10 and 4. So 10 minus 4 equals to 6. That is my risk premium. Now the basic idea is the investor need to be compensated, and these compensation is in a two-way. One, compensation on the basis of time value of money, and the second important factor is a risk. So thus I make a equation that is a equity capital. The cost of equity capital is equals to first RF, that is your risk-free return. So this is the one part of your formula. When the second portion is beta multiplied by risk premium. Now the risk premium, as I already told, when it multiply with the beta, it is the overall risk. So we can say the formula is classified into two parts. The first portion, which is of the risk free return, is your TVM denotation, whereas the second portion donates your risk. So the additional risk you are going to take on your investment is your risk premium. Now look at in one example. Abacus company stock has a beta of 1.2. It means the company isn't this much risky. If the risk-free rate is 4% and the market risk premium is 10%. So mark my word here, in this particular example, they already give you the market premium. So you need not to do the calculation of market premium. What is the cost of equity? Now look at here. We put the values in the formula. So my risk-free return here is 4% and my beta is 1.2 multiplied by my risk premium is equals to 16%. But when I change this particular example and the 10% which is my risk premium, if I am going to treat it as a return on the market, how will it differentiate? So here, when I treat 10% as a market return, my risk premium is going to be reduced. So my risk premium is 10% previously. Now the risk premium is 7.10 minus 4 is 6 multiplied by beta becomes 7.2. So the overall cost of capital is going to be 11.2. So here, when I change the whole equation, my cost of equity reduced from 16% to 11.2%. Now look at the cost of retained earnings. So in previously we discussed about the cost of equity with the help of dividend model, earnings model and CAPM model. Now look about the retained earning. So when we use the word retained earning, it is a somewhat of your opportunity cost. It means if you are earning 100 rupees and out of that 100 rupees, 40 rupees is given in a form of dividend, the remaining 60 is your savings. You are not going to invest that remaining 60 in form of dividend. That is your saving and that is your retained earning. So the cost of retained earning may be the considered as a rate of return which the existing shareholder can obtain by investing the after-tax dividend in alternative of opportunity equals to that of your dividend or of equal qualities. It is thus the opportunity cost of dividend foregone by the shareholder. You can understand it like this. If you are earning, as in company, you are earning 100 rupees. If you give that 100 rupees in form of dividend to your shareholder, there is nothing remains. It means 100 minus 100 equals to 0. There is no retained earning. Out of that 100, if you give 60 rupees in form of dividend, the remaining 40 is your retained earnings. So you are able to invest these retained earnings to any other investment opportunity, or you are able to pay back your loans from these retained earnings, or you can use these retained earnings for the future investment, future growth. But if you are not doing all these things and give the whole amount to the dividend holder, there is nothing remain to you for your future. Thus the retained earning is that opportunity cost of a dividend which the shareholders or the dividend holder foregone. Now look at the particular formula. It is KR. So here KR is your cost of retained earning equals to D upon net proceed plus growth. So why we use the word D here? Because it is your dividend which is foregone. We had to deduct the tax cost because we have to pay the tax on the retained earning plus any other flotation charges. So in this way we are able to complete the cost of equity and cost of retained earning. For this particular session I used the Prasanna Chandra IM Pandey. Further, I will refer to you, go through with these two links of a YouTube for your reference so that you are able to cope up with this particular concepts in detail. Thank you. Keep learning.